You got a big fight. Talk to me about this matchup with Diego.
I'm ready to get that belt back. I'm getting it back, and I'm going to be that active champion. Like, a lot of people, they're not going to believe me until I do it. Don't be surprised if, when I win, and I'm already calling the next fight straight away. Like, I'm ready to do this. I'm like, going, all right, let's go.
This is a very, very interesting fight. You better get his out of there in the first 15 minutes. You do not want to go to championship rounds with Volkanovski, no matter what kind of a run you are, no matter how young you are, how good you are. Don't see Volkanovski in the 4th and 5th round if you still got business to do.
Oh, this is going to be a crazy fight. Diego, he's been on the run now. I think I'm going to go with Diego. He's locked in.
Diego's a very dangerous guy, man. Like, you have to deal with especially the first 2 rounds or 3 rounds, you know what I mean? So I could definitely see Diego winning this fight.
The main event of UFC 314 is just around the corner, where Alexander Volkanovski and Diego Lopes will compete for the vacant featherweight belt. The fight is set to take place on the 12th of April in the Kaseya Center in Miami. Both Alexander Volkanovski and Diego Lopes are training hard to claim the featherweight belt. Volkanovski is set to return to the octagon after his knockout defeat against Ilia Topuria at UFC 298. The former featherweight champion is looking to get back his belt, while Diego Lopes has set his eyes on maiden UFC belt. To better understand the fighting style of Alexander Volkanovski, Diego Lopes is training alongside Austin Bashi, who seems to have the same height and fighting style as Volkanovski. Austin also believes that he possesses the same fighting style and reach as the former featherweight champion. He revealed that he is making his complete efforts to prepare Lopes for the Volkanovski fight.
I've been watching Volkanovski since the beginning of his career, and his style, I really studied it before coming here, and I'm just trying to play his style. And I have the same height as him, same exact reach, and similar body type, so I'm just trying to give the best looks to Diego.
Volkanovski held the featherweight belt from December 2019 until February 2024, and during that period, he successfully defended his belt 5 times. Alexander Volkanovski has been one of the GOATs of the featherweight division, but recently things are not going well for the former champ. Volkanovski has suffered 2 big knockout defeats against Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev, and now he is looking to make a grand comeback at UFC 314. He still believes that he is hungry for victories, and he will overcome the challenge of Lopes. Volkanovski said on his YouTube channel, "Lopes is obviously a dangerous dude, a bit of a different matchup to Ilia. Obviously they are both dangerous fighters. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one and feeling excited. I'm feeling great, and I'm only gonna get better from here. So that's a scary thing, especially for Lopes." Volkanovski has respect for his opponent, as Lopes has been doing great in the featherweight division. He thinks Diego deserves to get a title fight, but Volkanovski refused to show mercy on his opponent, as he is eager to once again become the featherweight champion. Alexander Volkanovski added, "I think Lopes is in for a very, very hard fight. He's a gamer. He's a great dude. I've got a lot of respect for him. A very nice fella. I'm sure he's expecting to go out there and win the belt, but I'm sorry, mate. That ain't happening. Good on you for being in this position. I'm happy you're getting the opportunity to fight for the belt, but I'm still here and you ain't having it. Sorry, mate." On the other hand, Diego Lopes has already made a game plan to beat the former champ and take the belt away from his clutches. The Brazilian fighter believes he is ready to take on the best version of Alexander Volkanovski. During a recent conversation with the media, the Lopes stated, "I think Volkanovski might go in there and look to do a mix of his game, because a lot of people are still complaining that I might not have the cardio for 5 rounds. People are still hanging on to what happened in the fight against Dan Ige, which I slowed down, but that's okay. People have mouths and they'll say whatever they want. I'm ready for Volkanovski's best version." Diego is putting his 100% efforts to make himself ready for this fight. He knows that opportunities like these don't come too often, so he wants to make full use of that and grab it with both hands. He shared a video on his social media where he was showing his powerful punches and speed, and it looked like he was sending a direct warning to Volkanovski that he will go hard against him. Lopes has been ready for this fight for a long time, and he is excited to show his worth at UFC 314. He made his intentions clear right after the fight was announced by expressing his thoughts on his social media. Diego Lopes wrote on his X account, "I have worked like no one else in recent years. I have accepted challenges and dares that the UFC has put in front of me. I have said yes in every situation, even when it was not favorable for me. In less than 2 years within the UFC, I will have my opportunity for the title. I will not fail, dream, believe, and make it happen." Meanwhile, Alexander Volkanovski has recently revealed that he also found out about Ilia Topuria's decision to vacate the 145-pound title when everyone else did. The former champion said that he already knew that was going to face Diego Lopes sooner or later, but didn't know the vacant featherweight belt would be on the line. Volkanovski said on the Believe You Me podcast, "I actually found out when Dana announced that he was vacating. I knew it was going to be Diego like 2 weeks before. At that stage, I was like, come on, what's going on? I'll fight anyone, interim, whatever. It doesn't matter, just let me fight. I can do Ilia later if he doesn't want to fight now or whatever it is." So that's where we were at. Then I ended up seeing his live and he was like, he's vacating, he's moving up. Alexander Volkanovski was completely unaware of that decision, and he was surprised that Topuria would vacate his belt so early. Volkanovski added, "I was like, wow, I didn't expect, even though I had heard him talk about it. I knew that he eventually wanted to move up. I just didn't think he would just vacate." Henry Cejudo's coach Eddie Cha backs Diego Lopes to claim the featherweight title at UFC 314. He also acknowledged the experience and skill set of Volkanovski, but the veteran coach believes it won't be easy for the former champion to put on a show after 2 brutal knockout defeats. He is confident that Diego has a great chance to beat one of the best featherweights of all time. Eddie is also excited to see how Volkanovski will make a comeback and approach for this fight after his recent performances.
I like Diego. I think his power is phenomenal. I think he's on fire. He's got a great team, especially coming off 3 losses, 2 knockouts. That's tough, man. I know he's mentally tough. I know he was one of the best featherweights of all time, but we'll see how he comes back. You know, that's 3 losses with 2 knockouts. I mean, it's got to mess with your confidence and things you can do out there. So.
Julian Erosa, who is also a featherweight fighter, predicts Alexander Volkanovski to get back his title in Miami. He has some concerns about the game plan of Diego Lopes, especially for a 5-round fight. Julian Erosa mentioned Diego's previous fights where he struggled and got exhausted in the final rounds, and that's why Erosa decided to back Volkanovski at UFC 314.
I think, you know, it'll be interesting to see how Diego Lopes does on a 5-round fight. I think he kind of got a little gassed when he fought Dan Ige, and Dan Ige took that fight on 4 hours notice. And so I think Volkanovski is going to take it just purely, I'm just doing it off of cardio.
However, Diego Lopes rejects such predictions, and he gave a befitting response to those who are doubting his cardio for a 5-round fight. Well, Lopes is on a 5-fight winning streak, and he has worked hard to become a star in the division in such a short period. He has got a lot of supporters, but he knows that some still remain skeptical of his cardio and doubts his chances of winning the belt. Lopes replied to everyone who are doubting his cardio and said in an interview, "I think Volkanovski might go in there and look to do a mix of his game because a lot of people are still complaining that I might not have cardio for 5 rounds. People are still hanging on to what happened in the fight against Dan Ige, that I slowed down, but that's okay. People have mouths and they'll say whatever they want. I'm ready for Volkanovski's best version, and I'm ready to show my best version." Diego Lopes further explained about that fight and said he was affected by the short notice. He also revealed that he was fighting 15 pounds over what he originally agreed to. The Brazilian fighter feels that he came back strongly after that fight and dominated Ortega at UFC 306, and that's why he doesn't mind what critics have to say. Diego Lopes added, "That's okay. I'm not bothered by them at all. People have mouths and they will say whatever they want, and they don't want to see things in the way that they are. Why does nobody mention the knockdowns I did to Brian Ortega in the 3rd round and how I was doing in that 3rd round? I won all 3 rounds and I dominated that fight. Why do people not mention that? Why don't they mention that a judge gave me a 30-26? Diego knows that haters will always criticize him no matter how well he performs, and that's why he's not bothered by them anymore. He also feels that most of his critics are the fans of his opponent that are trying to shatter his confidence, but he won't let them succeed." The Brazilian fighter further said, "I don't get it. People forget things. People have short memories. They only want to remember what they want to remember, and that's fine. I get it. A lot of those people are fans of those fighters. I'm fighting, so they will go ahead and say I lack cardio to fight them. Well, coming back to the predictions, the UFC featherweight fighter Youssef Zalal is also among the supporters of Diego Lopes in this fight. He emphasized on the remarkable power of Diego and believes that he is going to be a huge threat for Volkanovski, especially in the initial rounds. Youssef also admitted that Alexander Volkanovski is not someone to be underestimated, but right now he decided to go with Diego Lopes to win the vacant featherweight title.
Man, I know a lot of people are sleeping they saying like, oh, Diego's not gonna win or something like that, or the opposite way, I don't know, but Diego's a very dangerous guy, man. Like, you have to deal with his, especially the first 2 rounds or 3 rounds, you know what I mean? So I could definitely see Diego winning this fight. But obviously you can't sleep on Volk, man. I feel like a lot of people be sleeping on Volk until he shows you otherwise. But yeah, that's definitely an exciting fight. But if I had my money, I'm definitely going with Diego.
Jose Delgado is also excited for this matchup between Alexander Volkanovski and Diego Lopes. He thinks it's going to be a thriller between these two highly skilled fighters. He has respect for Volkanovski's achievements, but Jose believes UFC 314 will prove a dream fight card for Lopes to claim his maiden UFC title. The featherweight fighter knows that Diego has been waiting for this opportunity for a long time, and he will give his best to fulfill his dream.
I think on paper, Volkanovski still has all the advantages, but I think that one's going to boil down to the big.
On the contrary, Austin Vanderford thinks the former champion Alexander Volkanovski is back on the track, and he will go hard against Diego Lopes at UFC 314. The welterweight fighter also acknowledged the power and skills of Diego and didn't completely rule out his chances against Volkanovski.
Ooh, that's another really fun one too. I'm gonna say I think Volk gets back on track. Diego Lopes, again, gamer, really well-rounded.
Austin further praised the fighting style of Diego Lopes by mentioning an old fight between his friend Movsar Evloev and Diego Lopes at UFC 288. Movsar won that thrilling fight via decision, but Diego put on an excellent display of fighting that made Austin an admirer of his skills. However, despite such efforts, Vanderford still believes Volkanovski would be too good for Diego at UFC 314.
I remember because Movsar Evloev is one of my teammates, and I remember when that fight first happened, and it was a short notice situation, and Diego Lopes, watching the fight, I was just blown away. Like, man, I know how good Movsar is, and the way this guy's hanging in and getting close to capturing a finish was really impressive. But I will say, I think going forward, Volk gets back on track and he takes that one.
Meanwhile, the UFC lightweight fighter Guram Kutateladze has a feeling that Alexander Volkanovski will regain his form at UFC 314 and get back his title. Guram has a lot of respect for the former champion both as a fighter and a human being. According to Guram, Volkanovski will prove his worth once again during his fight against Lopes and will show why he used to be the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world.
I like Volk a lot. All the respect to him, he's a great human being, he's a great guy, great martial artist, pound for pound, he was number one for so many years. So I hope, and me personally, I will be glad if he takes it.
The UFC light heavyweight fighter Modestas Bukauskas thinks this will be a thrilling contest as both Volkanovski and Lopes are exceptional fighters. He praised the skills and superb performances of Diego in recent times. However, Modestas knows that Alexander Volkanovski is a very tough opponent as he is among the greats of the featherweight division. Modestas Bukauskas said, "Oh, that's a very, very interesting fight. I think Diego Lopes has been on an absolute hot streak. His boxing is very sharp, and Volkanovski, he hasn't had, the best performances. Obviously, he is still the GOAT. He is still an absolutely amazing athlete." Modestas acknowledged Volkanovski's achievements in the 145 weight class, but he believes things would favor Diego Lopes this time. He seems very confident that Diego Lopes will make full use of his form and grab the featherweight belt on April 12th.
But I'm actually leaning towards Lopes. I believe he has what it takes to grab the belt. Even though Volkanovski is an absolute, like, one of the greatest out there, but I think Diego, just because of the momentum that he's on, will put him in a better position leading into that fight.
However, Song Yadong doesn't agree with Modestas, as he predicts an Alexander Volkanovski's win in the main event of the upcoming fight card. The bantamweight fighter feels the former featherweight champion will get back his title with a win by decision at UFC 314.
Alexander.
Okay. How does Alexander win? Do you think stoppage or decision?
Decision.
So these were the predictions from the MMA pros for this fight, and hopefully you have enjoyed them. These were the thoughts of the pros, but we would like to hear from you guys as well. Who do you think will claim the featherweight title at UFC 314? Share your predictions in the comments section and give us a thumbs up if you liked the video. Subscribe to our channel to get more interesting content related to MMA.